Matt Dawson, welcome back to the Super Design Bowl. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing pretty well. Good morning. How are you? This is the earliest we've ever done this.
Good, good. I actually didn't even have time to make coffee.
I
So
was scrambling. That's why I was like a minute or two late to the little pre-show thing. Yeah, I can't function without it.
yeah, I'm just pretending right now. I'm pretending to be awake. The matchup we're talking about today is one that you set up. It was a really
hmm
great matchup. So I'm excited to talk about this one.
Yeah, this one turned out really well, and I don't know. It's kind of a tough one. I can't remember who won. Did
You
a,
can't?
I won't spoil it, but okay, I think I know now. But yeah, this is a good one, man. This is more pirates. Jeez.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite matchups of that we've hosted. Why don't we just get into it and start talking to these guys? I feel like these guys will be chatty enough.
I guess
So we're
so.
gonna be talking to Tron. That's what he told me he wanted to be referred to, and Emir Ayouni. Welcome to the show, fellas.
Morning.
Thank you.
Let's get into it. I'll just keep calling you Tron. I keep thinking of you're going to be that fat guy who made the Tron outfit on the internet like 20 years ago.
That was me.
That would be amazing. If that's where the nickname came from, that would have been awesome. Tell the people at home a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, graphic designer, illustrator. Pretty
Where are you
much
fighting out of?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Another Jacksonville.
We're growing. We're growing. Yeah, I pretty much me, Patrick, and Kendrick all live within walking distance of each other. So if this becomes like a real thing, we've already got like the AFC South built up. So
yeah, maybe I could like set up a big tournament where we just do regions. And the top designers from the regions all battle it out with each other.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Kendrick. You and Kendrick kind of do a thing together. What's that called?
Yeah, it's called Halftone Def Studios. It's really, I mean, we both freelance individually. We both
so
have
when you
jobs.
freelance, are you getting jobs through the Halftone website, and then you're like, and then Kendrick's like, I'll take this one, or you say I'll take this one, or is it you market yourself differently?
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we started out because we worked together, like literally like battleship style. Like we worked at the same agency that Kendrick still works at now.
Yeah.
And we started just doing gig posters and concert posters as like a fun thing. And then you know how that happens. You start doing those, and then people start asking you to do work, and yeah. So we basically, like, you know, this is before Dribble and any of that stuff. I do a lot of web stuff on the side too. Like that's primarily what my other job is. And so at the time, Kendrick had so much great work, and he didn't really have it on the internet. So I was like, well, let's. I was like, I'll just make a website, and we'll just put all of our stuff on there, and we'll just see what happens. And that's kind of what it still is today. Like, we just have a website that has all of our work up on there, whether it was like we did it individually or we did it together. And I mean, a lot of times I get contacted directly for work. He obviously gets contacted directly for work. But every now and then somebody will hit us up through the website and say, hey, and we'll just kind of discuss it and be like, do you have time? Do you have time? Or do we both want to do it? Or if it's something like, you know, bigger, like one of our first things was like we did some shirts for Billabong, and we're both huge in the surf industry. So like, of course, we're going to be like, okay, let's both work on that. So it's super flexible, you know, like it's kind of just, there's not really any rules to it, to be honest.
You know what? One of the most interesting things about doing these interviews is how many people have like work in an agency or work somewhere else, and then but the stuff that they're known for in the design community is sort of their freelance stuff in a lot of ways. And it's so interesting because from the outside looking in, especially if you're like a younger designer or someone who's just in college, and you see all these people with this amazing work and all these followers and all this stuff, and you know, you don't realize that Kendrick still works at an agency. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like there's this idea or this myth of all these people are just working for themselves and killing it and all this stuff, right?
Sitting on mountains of money.
Yeah, I mean,
counting their stacks.
All of us have had that conversation a bunch, and that it's like, you know, it's one of those things. It's like, for me, especially, is like, I have a job that I don't hate. That, I think that's like the general stigma that gets put out, is that like, oh, I hate my day job. I hate my day job. Like, I don't hate my day job. It's not exactly what I would do if I was like, you know, choosing just to be an illustrator all day. Yeah. But it makes it less stressful for me, because I'm not out there trying to get, you know, shirt jobs and poster jobs to try to pay for the, you know, pay the mortgage. So it makes it where I can kind of like be like, well, if this works out, it does, and if not, whatever.
But speaking of rolling in dough, let's switch over to Emir. How's it going, Emir? Thank you for joining us.
Good. Thanks for having me.
I think it's actually really helpful that you have the globe behind you. You can point out to everybody where you're actually calling us from.
Oh, that will be here. Can you see that?
Wow. It's not too far.
You guys are somewhere over here.
Yeah.
You're like that far from us.
You know how great Americans are at geography.
So, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think you just blew everyone's mind.
Everyone thinks I live in Switzerland, which is somewhere like here.
You're from the land of IKEA, though, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. And when you live there, it's like in other countries where you have to do the military for 4 years.
What?
I think, you know, like in Korea, you have to, or in Israel, you have to like join the military for a couple years.
Yeah,
it's required. I believe in Sweden, it's the same thing with IKEA. You have to.
Oh, you mean like that? No, I thought you were like, because we don't have mandatory military service anymore.
No, but you do have mandatory IKEA service. You have to go in once a weekend every month and build the desk.
Yes,
I believe
that's the minimum. It's like the I don't know if you've seen Office Space. You know, like the minimum amount of flair. Like that's what they require minimum, but they appreciate if you do a lot more.
I'm pretty sure the IKEA cabinet that tried to kill me last week, Amir made it.
How tired of you how tired are you and your other Swedes of IKEA jokes? I just realized that's probably really played out, and I apologize.
No, it's fine. It's basically the go-to.
Yeah, it's the go-to. That's all I got.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I hate IKEA. We have a deal, me and my fiance, that I never have to go to IKEA ever again. So
really,
yeah. So I'll do different things. Like I'll have to say yes to some other boring stuff, but I'll never have to go into IKEA again. She will do the shopping. I can pick out something online and she'll go pick it up.
Yeah, I actually love going to IKEA.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst place on the planet.
Like I'm kind of with you, Billy. I like going, but I like going at like 10 in the morning on like a Tuesday whenever nobody's there. If you go at like 11 a.m. on a Saturday, you just want to die.
Yeah, that's usually when people go. It's like, Saturday afternoons with children everywhere. I don't understand why you take your children to IKEA. You got to be a sadist to do that. But everyone seems to think it's the best idea in the world.
Dollar ice cream.
Yeah. The ice cream.
Oh, those hot dogs are like $1 everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If you're buying a hot dog $1, well, good luck.
Well, you know, think about it, like usually whenever you buy a hot dog, it's already a questionable food item, and if it's like $6 or $7 at a restaurant, and then you question that, but then you can get one for $1. What the hell is in that one? You know, what's in the dollar one?
The cheaper it is, the more anus rings are going to be in it.
What do you mean? That's where the flavor comes from.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't talk shit about the anus rings. So you go by a lot of names on the internet. You got a lot of side hustles going on. So it's all very confusing to me. You got the grow case, you've got the GARM, and of course you have the forefathers.
Yeah. So
did I miss anything?
No. So
Oh,
so
okay.
Grow Case was the name of my business that I named it at in 2002, I believe.
Yeah.
So that was like the main thing. And then I joined Forefathers in 2011 or 2012.
Tell me the story behind that, if you can.
They found me on Dribble like everyone else. Like
Yeah.
that's how we knew about each other. And they needed some extra hands for some projects, so they hired me for a couple. And first project we did was with Lane Norton, BioLane. He's a PhD and also like a bodybuilder. He trains UFC fighters in physical exercise and shit like that. So he's still a client for us. We still do stuff for him, and so that's pretty cool. That was our first project. And and then I just kept doing work with them, and eventually jumped on as a full team member in 2014. I think that was like official.
And what's interesting is I feel like your look, your design is so integral to what I think about when I think about Forefathers. Like there is no Forefathers without you in my brain.
Wow. Well, so Dan Greta was the illustrator and brand designer before me.
Yeah.
And I think subconsciously when I started doing work with Forefathers, my styles was sort of leaning towards his style.
Okay.
And then it sort of morphed into something between me and him. And then it just became like the Forefathers thing.
That's cool. That's really interesting. And so you're doing Forefathers basically full time, right?
Yeah, well, I do solo stuff as well. And
okay.
It depends on like the size of the scope. Like if it's a giant scope, I just funnel it through Forefathers.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's a bit lower budget and a little bit faster, it's just easier I do it myself. If it's not tied to web work too, like if there's like we're looking for a brand package and down the line might be a website, well, I'll just funnel it straight to Forefathers because then we have the whole team.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then tell me a little bit about Garm, who's the official sponsor of today's episode. I just
Yeah. So I started Garm Company like I think we launched October last year, and
there we go.
Yeah, still spring sale. It's
spring
it
sale.
Ends in like 5 minutes.
Get on that.
But yeah, so I was working a lot with Retro Supply, and we made like courses, like webinars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was really lucrative, but it was really slow getting them out there because they have so much stuff going on all the time. So it's a lot of planning and scheduling and stuff like that. So I was like, I want to be able to put up more product myself. So I just decided like, I'll just start my own platform. And I was sort of not realizing what a big endeavor it was to just get everything into place. But I started working on it during like when COVID hit, and I had, because we work a lot towards the restaurant industry, and our largest client is a big restaurant group. So we lost a lot of projects that we had like under contract.
Oh, damn.
So I was like, I have a lot of free time over the past summer. So over the summer in 2020, I built this. And I contacted a lot of my friends and started making products, developing products with them. And I set a really tight deadline because I knew it would be like delayed by at least 2 months because there was a lot of like designers. So
yeah.
It worked out. And in October we launched, and it's been doing pretty good.
That's cool. When I started Super Design Bowl with my team, it just, when you start a new side thing for it to be successful at all, you really have to devote a lot of time and effort to it. And like
more than you would think.
Yeah, a lot in the promotional aspect of it, right? It like you can put together a great brush set, but it doesn't matter how great your brush set is, because it's about getting an ad in front of people's face like every day.
Yeah, and also like when you have the product finished, you're so exhausted with the product and all the material that you're like, oh no, I need to build a product page. I should make a video for this. I should make that, and like you just and you don't have all that time either when you're working as a freelancer or like on constantly working on some projects. So I wish I had time to dedicate like 100% to Garm, but the goal is to eventually do that.
Oh, really? Cool. And I mean, with Super Design Bowl, I've kind of gotten to this point where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna have fun. I'm not gonna like spend every hour of my day promoting it. I'll put it out there. The people that will like it will find it, and fuck it. I'll just do it. Right?
Yeah.
So whatever. Let's talk about your Pirates logos, fellas.
Hell yeah!
Look at these piratey things. This was an excellent matchup.
Were you disappointed that there was no type in mine?
Was I well, there is a letter P, so there's like some type. There's technically some type in there. Before we get into these, I want to look at the Pirates logo history. This is interesting because this is the first team we've done that actually doesn't exist anymore. And
that's wild.
That's a cool idea, and I think we should probably do more of that. But look at this insane logo.
This thing, hilarious.
Yeah, awesome. This thing. First of all, what kind of handle is that on a dagger? What is that?
That's one of those that you poke the stove. What do you call those?
A stove
fire poker.
Yeah, fire poker. And then it's so funny because then it's a hockey stick. So either this is a tiny hockey stick or a giant pirate, right? And I can't tell.
I like how round it makes his face look with like that kind of container in the background. Like it looks like a Johnny Cupcakes caricature. Like it's like
it's the Pirates of Portland.
I like some of the things that they're almost accomplishing with like the negative space and like some of the simple forms. Like there's something kind of cool going on with the eyeball and the patch and the nose and the beard. The beard looks like a rebel symbol from Star Wars, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
But there's so many different styles going on here. It's almost like a clip art mashup that's been done, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then this type down here, I don't think I've ever laid out type as well as this. It's beautiful.
And whenever we talk about these old ones, I always get worried that like the original designer is gonna stumble across YouTube and watch his or her logo just get ripped to shreds.
But that was done in like 1990. I mean,
yeah, I forgot to check like what was because this one is 20.
Yeah, so that was 1990 to 2000. Oh boy,
yeah,
that's way
I mean, this is minor. This is minor league hockey, so it's not like they don't have the biggest of budgets.
Yeah,
this isn't bad though.
This just needs a cleanup.
Yeah,
like they got this. So many stripes, so many these like stair steppy things going on with the type here. Instead of just like, why don't we just connect those 2 points? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
The one thing I do like about this is that he's looking behind him. Like he's really paranoid. This is a paranoid pirate who's like looking over his shoulder.
He's about to get tackled really hard.
Checked. It's checked, Inaki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's checked in English. Yeah, we say tackle in Swedish.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think you made that up.
Yeah, just set myself with a man.
Very convenient. Oh, like well, we say it like this, and where I'm from.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he's kind of old. I wonder if it was designed after like an actual Portland, Maine pirate. So in 2015, 2016, they just took Portland off of it for some reason.
They pulled a Matt Dawson and added the TM under the S.
But you know what? In his defense, it looks way better with that TM on there.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful.
It's official.
And they did not clean up the corners.
No,
they didn't.
They really didn't. You know what's funny is like if a minor league hockey or baseball team contacted you, Tron, or whatever, anybody, any one of us, I mean, like, if they say, you know, I don't have a ton of money, can you clean my logo? Can you just shine this turd? I would do it. You know, give me $1,000. I'll fix your stupid logo. You know, so it's kind of weird to me that companies like this, like, and there's so many good designers out there. There's so much good design, and the technology is so good that every little minor league team should have a halfway decent logo at this point.
Yeah,
well, like especially since they're takeaway game. Especially since a lot of times they're extensions of bigger, bigger entities, like especially like farm leagues and baseball and stuff.
This alternative logo is pretty legit though. I don't know if you guys.
What is this?
It's an alternative. It's an alternative logo.
That was the best one by far. I sort of like the first one, but
shit. Yeah, I mean, this is it's obviously better. Who knows where and how that came about, or what it's probably just like a shoulder patch or something.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a good shoulder patch.
It's called the GM's nephew was going to said, let me take a crack at it, and they just had to throw it in there.
This at least has a proper pirate sword in it, and not a letter opener. So that at least has that. It's
so many strokes.
So many strokes. So busy.
So awful.
Ugh.
The kerning between the P and the I. With that, it's P Pirates.
You could park a ship in between that P and I.
What gets me is this parallelogram here.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is just like
the whole thing is
it's the hockey rink. Don't you see it?
Yeah.
It's a mess. So what you guys did was frankly way too cool for the Portland Pirates, both of you guys. It was like I said, this is definitely one of my favorite matchups. This thing that you did, Emir, could, you know, hopefully you can just reuse this somewhere. Put this on a t-shirt.
No. I never reuse. Like I would never do such a thing.
A little bit harder for you, Levi, with the you know, because you actually did typography.
I mean, you know, if the town with P in the name comes calling, you know, that Portland can get changed out pretty easy.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's they also need to play hockey.
Yeah.
How you know, it'd be hard to turn this into a soccer team, but you could do it. I think you could.
Yeah, maybe baseball. That was the original idea. I had to switch that hockey stick out for a bat.
Oh yeah, it actually works better as a hockey stick.
Yeah,
I think that. But unfortunately, Levi, I hate to do it. Movie prize.
I forgot what the bet was. We made a bet.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. We have it somewhere.
Well,
I'll have to check my logs.
It's 6 weeks buried in the text thread somewhere.
Yeah.
I will go on record as saying this is probably the best loser that we've ever had.
I'll take that. I'll take it.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really good. When you sent it to me, I was like, well, he's got all this typography. He's gonna win, right? Because people are gonna see this took a lot of work with this custom type and all this stuff.
Yeah, I do want to give some credit to Clark's typeface low drag. it was kind of funny because I've been wanting to use that for something, and the couple of posters that I wanted to use it in, I couldn't get it to work, and then I was kind of scrolling through my typefaces, and I was like, oh, you know what? I bet this is gonna work. And it was kind of funny because I sent it to Clark and was like, bet you didn't know you made a pirate typeface. And his first response back to me was, I think I'm about to get some royalty checks. And I was like, sorry, it's not real. So,
you did a great job making it piratey feeling. Like I've used low drag on a couple of things, and doing what you did to it is like works perfectly for this. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, you said you use the typeface, but obviously Pirates is totally a customized version of it.
Yeah. I added on a lot of things that Clark probably wouldn't approve of, but whatever.
Well, I love when designers have to make hard decisions like this.
Yeah,
this giant serif on the A, just because it fills that gap. A's are so tough. I mean, the other option is making a giant top part to the R, but then I think that would have thrown everything off balance.
Especially when it has a T after it too. Like it.
Yeah, the T really helps.
So one side fits nicely, and the other side is all janky.
Yeah, I didn't realize, because just to give some backstory to this. So Emir and I basically, I had this idea that I've wanted to execute forever, which was that if you look at a flag, it's basically a P. Like if you did it simple enough.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I have one idea that I have time to execute. Let's do that. And then I was like, Emir is kind of, skull master over there. So I was joking. I was like, Emir, I'll challenge you to a skull off or whatever. And then, so, we ended up going back and forth, and I never even saw any of those Portland Pirates logos because we were just like, what's got a pirate in it? Like, this is all I had. This is all I got time for. And so when I started doing this, I realized quickly, I was like, man, if I got to go skull to skull with Emir, like I don't stand a chance. His steez on skulls is just too good. And typography is one of my stronger suits. So I was like, I'm going to have to pile on here.
I think it's awesome. So you know what? I'm going to be honest. I didn't get the P on the flag as P as flag.
Yeah, it didn't work out like I thought.
But now that you're saying it, I see it.
Yeah, there's some, you'll see, like I did, and this is one of those things too, where like, I kind of, I wanted to, like, it's one of those things where in your head, you're thinking like, oh, this will work out. But, obviously doing stuff that's so simple becomes harder and harder and harder. And, I thought to myself like, oh, I'll just make a P into a flag. And it just was not as easy as I thought it was going to be. And so, but yeah, like, I did a bunch of different other versions and different layouts. And if you see it in the context by itself, it's a little easier to make the connection versus where it's got the type and everything in there. But, we only had the one image, so I just had to kind of throw everything in that one.
So when you're sketching on paper, obviously.
I normally do an iPad, but at the time there was an envelope laying to the right of me, and I just went for it.
Okay. So, and then this looks like Procreate?
Yeah.
So then you're kind of refining and Procreate. Do you at any point, and then of course obviously you got to take it into Illustrator.
Yeah. Yes. So the crazy part about this is like a lot of the artwork that I've been doing recently is a lot more looser, kind of vintage stuff, similar more to what Emir's looks like and has been doing.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to just do a really like clean, set of lockup and identity for a while. So I kind of went overboard. And I don't say overboard because if a client came to me and said, hey, we want you to come, this is exactly what I would do.
Absolutely.
And I haven't done this in a while. So it felt good to kind of like jump back into that and do something a little cleaner. I really wanted to like rough it up and make it look a little more like, I thought it would have been cool to actually give it a more vintage look to it. Mm-hmm. But I've just been doing that so much that I was like, I'm going to leave it clean.
But this still has a lot of character to it. It's not like it's not like the Rams logo, the new Rams logo or something, which is like super slick. I love this lockup down here. And I'm a sucker for a roundel, this badge down in the lower right. I think I love it when all the little pieces just fit perfectly. together,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
and that's what you're giving me there. Some
Yeah,
OCD.
I want to call out one thing too, that it was kind of like accidental, but then I was like, oh man, it's like, so when you look at the outlined on the type lockup up there, I started doing it and I was like, man, this kind of looks like the back end of a pirate ship. Like, have you ever seen like like the way it's kind of stair stepped?
Yeah.
Where it goes up and stuff. So that was one of those things. It's like you look and you're like, oh man, that's kind of a happy accident that I don't think anybody would ever catch it.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite piece out of this whole set. Like I
You like
really
this
like that
lockup?
container that you did. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one.
You sent me a lot of stuff here, which is great.
I knew Emir was going to do nothing, so somebody had to carry the video.
You know, that's the problem. That's the problem with the rules of the contest is you only get one image, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Just based on the fact that Emir sent his to you the same day that we emailed, regardless of votes, he wins. He wins in my books. Just on goodness to time ratio, it's not even close.
I like your color. I like your color palette too. I think you did a really good job on the color palette. Feels very
feels gold.
Feels very appropriate.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about how tough it is to nail that gold, but you did a good job.
I kind of feel like I should give Matt producer credits on this. I think I sent him everything along the way. It was like, what do you think, Matt?
Is he your like design buddy, or do you have a group?
I mean, it's all of us. We all have. Yeah. We may or may have seen each other's logos ahead of time, so
yeah,
it wouldn't have mattered.
How do I get on this? Email thread? This iMessage thread. I want to send you guys my shit.
It's 95% garbage, maybe 5% trash design talk.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart either. It's really harsh.
I forgot you did jerseys.
Yeah. I almost didn't, and then because I couldn't find a good template that I wanted to go off of, and then I found one. Yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, I'm going to post this, and then I was like, I can't just post it. I mean, I identify with when you and Matt's when y'all did the Giants. I was like, okay, they did it. I'm going to do it too.
It's fun to do. I mean, if you spend all this time making a logo, you might as well throw it on a fucking jersey or a hat. You know.
Yeah. So I'm not a hockey guy, and I didn't realize hockey jerseys had that little lace up thing.
Not all of them do, but a lot of them do, I think.
Well, I was watching the new Mighty Ducks the other day, and one of the teams had that, and totally kind of ruined this for me because I thought you did this on purpose, Levi, because it feels like something a pirate hockey player would have, like.
You should have put ruffles. You should have put ruffles on the jersey.
I should have went with the ruffles. You're correct. I missed a golden opportunity.
Yeah,
puppy jersey.
Well, I do want to say too that with doing this stuff, and a lot of people might look at this and be like, "Oh my god, he did like a ridiculous amount of mock-ups." But if the thing is like if I was doing this for like a real client, and I'm sure all designers do the same thing. Like the second we think about this, it's all of this is in our head. We've imagined what all of it would look like.
Yeah.
And so I like just to go ahead and say, hey, because like just case in point, like this version where it's just the flag on the front. That was like one of my early thoughts of like, okay, if I can make this work, this would actually look pretty cool, especially for like a minor league team. Like you might not ever see that on
sure.
But a minor league team would look cool or whatever. So it's one of those things where it's like, man, I'm just going to lay all this stuff out. And then there's like, like if you're presenting it to somebody, and if they're any kind of a business person, they're going to go, well, here's my whole team set up in front of me. Like just, hit print. Let's get this going.
Yeah. I mean, when you're presenting to clients, doing mock-ups to help them have some sort of vision for how their logo is going to live in the real world is a must.
Yeah. I'm a little bummed that my skull doesn't look as cool as I would have liked to have refined that a bit, but in the context, whatever.
I mean, it looks like it was drawn by a pirate, like, but you know what I mean? Like old illustrations, old logos, or old skulls drawn by pirates. It's not like they were like looking at their anatomy book and like drawing these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's supposed to look like that.
Yeah, all the old design is a little like messed up on, like you kind of have to like take that into account that like if it was vintage, it's probably messed up in some way just because of the nature of things. So you're gonna have to kind of make it look a little jacked up.
Agreed. And that, a couple years ago, I was like, design nowadays, you always have to ask yourself, well, does this look fucked up, or does this look fucked up on purpose?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is annoying. And
I think if you would have had like a too clean or too aggro skull in there, it wouldn't have fit. Like I feel like this skull fits the vibe of everything else. Like I think any kind of new skull, or like a skull that would do really well on like Instagram or some dumb shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like that would work well with this.
Yeah. It was supposed to too. Like I think it was Grizzly that might have, when I was showing him something, he was like, "Oh, what if you do the negative space as an eye patch?" And
that
like
was me.
Or was that you?
I put that eyeball in there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that was way after though. Like in the beginning, like I think I sent Grizz or something. Like not that what is Grizz doing giving me art direction? But but I was like, oh yeah, maybe you can see in like the sketches that I went from like, oh, it just being a negative space to, oh, what if I could throw a subtle eye patch in there, but then trying to make it it's too much stuff, too many hidden gems. But yeah, Matt made an awesome like giant creature version of this where he just threw a giant eyeball in the middle. I was like, that would have looked awesome also.
That would have been cool. Didn't the Kraken do something like that? The new Kraken team? I don't know. Talking out my ass.
Is there a new team in the NHL? I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah, Seattle Kraken, I think.
We're too busy.
I remember
they got really good. It's really good branding.
Yeah.
We're too busy winning Stanley Cups down here. Tampa Bay Lightning crushing.
But I all in all, I think this was really successful.
Yes, it was fun. I enjoy doing typography. Like that's I like just not following any rules and just being like, all right, like how crazy can I make this?
It looks awesome.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about this son of a bitch.
I feel like that's like I'm back in school where the teacher's like, you want to tell me how you came to this conclusion on a math?
That's exactly
I'm that bad
it.
student. Like no, I don't know. After
Explain us the Nike logo, Emir.
Well, let me talk about it for a second then.
Yeah, go
ahead. And then you can. First of all, the use of the negative space to force your eye to create the shapes with such minimal, the line around the hat and the scarf is it's really smart. If I were to think, okay, how does this live as a patch, or how does this live on a jersey or whatever, there might be a time where you have to do a black outline around it, I would think. But it could still work. But it's impressive. I like the fact that, like, if we look at this stroke here, there's a naturalness to it, right? Where I would have the tendency to make it perfect. I'd do it in Illustrator and I'd make it fucking perfect, right? Like I'd make the width variance like very even throughout, and this has but your shapes and your line quality have a naturalness, a uniqueness to it that give it some actual fucking humanity, which my logos lack.
I just love how well you handled that front curve. Like that's insane to me, how a flat thing has so much like dimensionality. Like I can see like that curve coming off the front of the hat. Like I think that's my favorite part. That and the earring, like that curve and the earring are like my favorites.
Now we'll let you talk about it, Amir.
Yeah, the earring is the only thing I didn't do in Procreate.
Yeah,
Earring is the only thing I did in post in Illustrator, except for the colors, of course. But yeah, yeah. I don't. I what you mentioned was funny. Like you would do it in Illustrator. I haven't. I bought an iPad at the beginning of last year, and I've transitioned from being 100% mouse clicker pen tool guy to probably 70-30 Procreate Illustrator.
It's crazy.
So yeah, I do
I'm
a
not
lot
a good
more.
enough illustrator, like straight up illustrator, to do that. I think I'm just I got to push the Beziers around a million times until I get it right. I don't know.
Yeah, but I was like, when I started drawing on the iPad, I felt like I felt like a fraud. Like I should probably not be a graphic designer. I'm so bad at drawing now. It's crazy because I started like learning Illustrator in '97 and just transitioned completely from pen and paper to that, and like never doing Wacom or anything like that. Just mouse. And I've always done like really shitty like paper sketches for clients, just to like get sign off on concepts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So just going over completely to drawing by hand now on an iPad is like Clark. Again, going back to Clark, he comes up every so often. Clark Orr told me, like, just stick to it. Like, even if it feels weird in the beginning, just do it every day. It'll eventually become really like natural, and you'll get much better at it. So I just kept hearing him in my head whenever I wanted to just like put the iPad down and go back to Illustrator. Just keep drawing. And now I do like everything in Procreate. I just put in like type and certain things I know will be faster in Illustrator and shapes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing the same. I mean, I'm mouse clicker Illustrator like forever, but there's certain things, especially like if you're trying to do something that's maybe loose, maybe a little more vintage looking. Like I do so much on the iPad and Procreate now, just because you can, the gestural stuff is amazing. Like we're talking about the front of the hat there, where it's not an even line and it's kind of got a kink. Like that's one of those things where like I think if you try to do that with a pen, you would never, like with the pen tool, you would have to straighten it out. But when you just do it with your wrist, and it comes out by like you're like, oh, and it all comes from just that gestural, being able to use your hand. I mean, there's so many things with me recently that I've been able to illustrate that I'm like, dude, this would have taken me weeks in Illustrator clicking, but because I can just use my actual hand to do the gestures, you can finish it in a day. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, like I've saved. I'm so much faster now. Like I considered myself a pretty fast designer before, and now I've like 3x'd like how fast I design.
Wow, that
maybe more. Like I can do, like I did a full window piece for my fiance's salon in like
I saw that. That was awesome.
So that one, thanks. That one would have taken me like, the big piece with the trees and everything would probably have taken me like 4 or 5 days, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 days. But it took me one day to just rush it out with Procreate.
That's nuts. I guess Procreate is today's sponsor as well.
Yeah.
Well, that and Clark Orr.
Yeah.
Clark Orr and Procreate and Garm. Those are today's sponsors. So you guys both went with the gold tooth. I guess that's a hallmark. So I'm guessing that your familiarity with skulls, you've probably drawn a lot of skulls over the years. So when you're doing this, so you don't even have to like look for piratey skull reference. You're just going from.
No, I always do. I have like a big library of like different variations of skulls that I like.
Oh, cool.
And I wanted to do one that was a bit more like cartoon goofy without being, but sort of like tattoo stylish without being like too cartoonish. So I wanted to do a little compact goofy one, but I also wanted to cram as much as possible. I wanted the hat, the bandana, the earring, the gold tooth, the missing tooth, and the eye patch all in one, without it looking like too busy. So
Yeah.
that's what I shot for, and yeah, seems like it worked out fairly okay. I would probably
Somehow
like
you won. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm really pissed off about some things that I should have
Like what?
in retrospect. But it's
What would you fix?
the jaw, like the
How it flattens
that
out
line
here.
that comes down. No, the line that comes down from like there. Yeah, it's a bit long. But I sort of wanted it to be at first because that was part of the like cartoon goofiness of it. But in retrospect, I was pissed.
There's charm to that though. Like there's charm to the not perfectness, you know.
Yeah.
Which is honestly it's hard to achieve because it's hard to allow yourself to do that if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting challenge. The last thing that you guys sent me, and I think this is important for us to talk about, is this for some reason. I don't know if you guys want to talk about. I'm not sure why this was sent to me.
It's burned in the internet forever.
The title of the email was let's get these two rubbing up against each other.
Yeah, that's true.
That's literally what we're doing right there.
This looks like you're at someone's wedding.
We are.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
This is the last time we all saw each other in person. This is this is Tim's wedding, and nobody stopped me from making that terrible hat choice. I can't pull it off like you do, Billy.
Is your hat choice today inspired by Levi?
It was a little bit inspired by that. It was also
nice
inspired that my hair was still wet from the shower this morning.
There's another version.
You guys are making fun of the hat, but there's no mention of this jacket. The Emir is styling here. So I don't know why. The hat seems perfectly acceptable, and the jacket.
That's actually an old lady's robe that was at the wedding. It's old lady's.
That's the Forefathers jacket from Creative South. First time I met Levi and Matt was it 2015 or 16? I can't remember. I think it was 16. I'm not sure. Or 2015. Anyway, the first time we spoke we did a talk at Creative South. Me, Matt, and Jonathan from the Forefathers all went and bought flower jackets from Disco Fashions in Columbus, Georgia.
Nice.
And we wore them to the after party. And then we had a
nice.
photo shoot with them with the what's her name? Oh, the super sweet girl from Focus Lab. She her name just escapes me. I haven't talked to her in a while. So that felt like the obvious choice for the wedding.
It's a legit jacket, and the hat works too. Okay, don't let anybody tell you that you can't wear a hat like that.
There's a few other pictures. I'm a hat guy, so I'm under the belief that there's a hat for every occasion. Like
Absolutely.
that's I'm always wearing a hat. It's funny because there's another couple versions of those pictures. They say I look like Danny McBride from Righteous Gemstones, which is a high compliment.
Yeah. The one thing I did notice is that's a nice tie clip, Emir.
It's coming back to Clark. Me and Anna was staying with Clark and Brittany, and I didn't have a tie clip, so Clark let me borrow that one.
I mean, Clark's clearly the glue that holds us all together.
Yeah. He said he was too busy to do Super Design Bowl. So if he's on that message list, call his ass out.
He refuses.
He refuses. Oh, to be on the list.
He doesn't. It's brutal. We're not joking when we say it's a brutal chat. I mean, it's like we've kind of decided at this point that like nobody could step in there and understand
the amount of cancellations of our careers. You wouldn't believe.
It's actually interesting that you bring that up because has there actually been a graphic designer that was canceled? We're not exactly big enough or interesting enough to be canceled.
I think some people think they are.
I think they are.
Yeah. We live in this weird little bubble where graphic designers fancy themselves as celebrities, but like it's just no, I doubt anyone really gets
but none of them have been canceled yet. I mean,
There's
the only person
definitely a few that should be.
The only person that could be canceled is big enough to be canceled would be Draplin, right? But
right.
What is he going to be canceled for? Nothing.
I think Sagmeister.
Sagmeister.
Sagmeister did something a couple years ago that caught him some ire on the internet, but
yes, I remember that.
You know, I don't think it affected the mountain of money that he lives on.
Obey guy, what's his name? Shepard Fairey.
Shepard Fairey. He got canceled by the feds.
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, like if it got to the level of like public knowledge, somebody would go, "Wait, who is this? It's a designer? No, this is not worth our time," and they would just move on.
Yeah,
no.
You'll never see Draplin on a late night talk show like ever.
But he was on WTF.
He was on WTF. I wouldn't consider that a merit though, but. I really hate Mark Maron so much.
Really?
So, yeah, I hate him.
Like, Amir can't stand Mark Maron.
Really?
Yeah, I fucking hate that guy so much. We can't get into it. I'm gonna get so pissed.
Canceled.
Yeah.
What did he do to you?
I don't know. Everything.
Did he steal your girlfriend? What the heck? Speaking of girlfriends, congratulations on your engagement recently.
Oh, thank you. That was not so recently now.
Oh, sorry. Well, then I take it back. The fuck you. I take it back.
It was 2019, so we were
I thought that was. Oh, I'm sorry.
We were supposed to get married like last year, but obviously that didn't happen for obvious reasons. And so we thought 2021, and then like I don't know. Now it's looking like 2022 if there's any venue available next year.
Well, I heard IKEA that you can rent out a space there.
Yeah,
that might be.
We have talked about it.
Built-in catering.
Yeah,
built-in catering. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be very convenient, actually.
So, but you never lived over here, right? You've always stayed.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I wanted to for a long time, but not anymore.
I wouldn't recommend it.
No, you guys are completely fucked.
Maybe Amir's going to have us all move to Spain. Is the
that's the plan.
To Spain.
Yeah, that's what I want to move, but we'll have to see what happens with that. It's not easy to travel in Europe now either, but
it's not
really, no, because of COVID. It's still
because of COVID. I thought you were talking about sure.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but that's what we want to do. But it's not like just pack up and leave. For me, it is, but it's not for Anna. So we'll see what happens.
Oh well, she has a storefront and everything, right? So that makes it much harder.
She can still do that, but it'll take some work, and she'll probably have to stay here more than I have to. But I'm ready to leave this shithole of a country.
Really?
Yeah. I've been for years, for a long
buildings
time.
Blowing up.
Yeah. Well, it's the climate and the political climate like combined is a nightmare. I hate it here. I haven't liked living here in a while. So
hey, you come to Florida, guy, and get you some of this humidity.
I love Florida. I really love Florida.
Really? Wait, did you grow up there?
In Sweden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the north of Sweden, like if you're thinking if you think of like
Game of Thrones beyond the wall.
Sweden, like Westeros, we lived in Winterfell.
Oh, okay.
Below the Arctic Circle, just south of the wall.
But Ayouni that's like an Algerian name or something, isn't it?
My father is from here, Tunisia.
Yeah. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Well, why don't you just go back to Tunisia?
No, I've been there.
That sounded really racist. I apologize.
That sounded horrible. You just take your ass back to Tunisia, man.
What the fuck off do we came from, Africa?
Horrible. Cancel.
Damn.
I've been there.
I
did it.
Did not enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
No, I did not enjoy it. I spent some time there. It was.
They
not
didn't have
my
the
cup of
humidity
tea.
that you love.
No,
much
it's just, the climate was fine, but everything else was dog shit. So, yeah, I've been a lot to Spain. Like, not a lot, but I've been around Spain some, and I really like it. So, and I'm learning Spanish too, so that helps.
That would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go, Tron, let's just I want to just highlight your Voltron collection. Give you a little love back there. Let pull out your favorite one. Come on, show off it's show and tell time. Show everybody your favorite Voltron from when you were in 4th grade, and you just can't let go of it.
I'll just grab this one. I mean, let's see. So these are the reason why I have so many of them back there is because these are like me and Tim both are pretty, like I've wanted to do this for a while. Is have like some kind of like a designer / because we're a lot of us are into like toys and vintage figures at some point. So, but yeah, like the Voltrons is like my favorite for as a kid. And so like this is like the die cast like metal version.
Are those like worth money these days?
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Yeah.
So like I could knock you out with this thing. I mean, it weighs like 5 pounds. Like it's all die cast, but it's just cool because they're, they just like everything else before it was Voltron, they were what's called either like Go Lines or Line Bots, from Japan. And then us typical Americans were like, hey, give us that. We're going to put a cooler name on it and sell it in America. But because they were made in Japan first, there's the American versions, which were like Matchbox, which we all know. Like, but before that, I mean, there's 100 variants of these things.
Oh wow!
And my OCD collector in me, like, I can't just like have the one. I got to have every version of these things. Plus, I like fixing things, and because they're metal and just screws, like I enjoy the reason. And that's the other reason why there's so many of them back there is I buy them broken and fix them. And it's just something fun to do on the side. So yeah, but it's my son, my 4-year-old son comes in here in this torture because the whole rest of my studio is pretty much just 80s toys in cases. He just looks like, hey, Toys R Us went out of business. I got to give him some kind of like idea of what it was like to once walk.
But you don't actually let him play with your toys, which is the saddest part.
He's not quite into these yet, but when my wife has asked me, "Why do you have 2 of everything?" I'm like, "Well, I gotta have one for the kid to put. One good one and one for." It's a terrible excuse.
and she hasn't left you yet, so that's great.
Yeah. But that's also where Tron, my nickname Tron comes from, is because like everything in the '80s that was cool had Tron in the name. And my real name is Levi, right. And people either ask me, they either say, say it wrong, and I'm like, dude, but it's on every ass in America. Like, it's not Levy, it's Levi. But everybody says Levy because I think they just think, well, they can't possibly be Levi. And so at some point, I was like, dude, you know what? Like, I'm gonna just this is kind of part of the fun of being a designer. You get to just make up your own thing. So I was like, I'm just gonna go by John.
There you go. And on that note, thanks so much, guys, for joining us and doing these logos. I really, really loved it, and I loved meeting you guys. And it was pretty much the worst time of my life. So I appreciate that. No, but hopefully once COVID's over and we're all at the cons again, and we can hang out someday real soon.
Hope so.
Yeah, so tell people. I'll leave links to your crap down below. But if there's anything you guys want to promote or tell people to go get or do, or whatever, that sounded weird. Let the people know right now.
Just go support Emir's move out of Sweden and buy something off Garm Company.
Yeah,
that is the nicest thing ever. Yes, do that. GarmCompany.com. That's all I need to say.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And thanks, Matt.
Yeah, this is fun. Bye, guys.
All right.
See ya.